I'm gonna borrow yours for a second, Mariah.
Okay.
Alright, come on in. Please rise. The Court of the Second Judicial Circuit, not criminal division, is now in session. The Honorable Judge Mariah presiding.
Thank you. Everyone with the jury may be seated. Bailiff, will you please swear in the jury?
Yes, I will, Your Honor. Swear in this. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will truly listen to this case and render a true verdict and a fair sentence as to the defendant?
Yes.
You may be seated.
Okay. Do you want me to ask you what the case is?
Sure.
Hey, bailiff, would you please explain what the prosecution is trying to claim?
Really? I thought I just supposed to read the case.
Or the case?
This would be, yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
This is EEOC versus Werner Enterprises.
Okay, perfect. Is the prosecution ready? Okay. Is the defense ready?
Yes, it's shown.
Alright. Would,
It's almost harder with the script, isn't it?
yeah, prosecution, would you like to do opening statements?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we gather here today to tackle a case that highlights the principles of fairness and equality, and whether an innate disability should define a single man's career. Before you today, we have Andrew Duchelay, a man who was born deaf. Despite this, he overcame a lifetime of barriers and obtained his CDL along with a federal exemption. He thought he was in the clear for his promising future of truck driving, however, that was not the case. As we approach today, I asked you to look beyond Mr. Duchelay's disability, a disability he has not let define the course of his life, and simply look at the qualifications given, the discrimination that occurred against an innocent man. He went through the required training, learned alternative ways to execute his job just as well as anyone else, and obtained the proper paperwork for such a disability. Yet he was denied a position by Werner simply because he is deaf. This denial only came after the disclosure of his deafness, as his application was pre-approved. He was then denied a reasonable accommodation and was not given the opportunity to be examined by Werner themselves. You will soon hear from Andrew Duchelay himself, Carla Gilbride, an EEOC expert, his former employer Jessica Hale, and the instructor of a driving school for deaf students, Donna Olds. They will attest to Mr. Duchelay's performance, certifications, and legal bounds that apply to employers and those with a disability. As you hear this evidence, I urge you to take into consideration the facts and disregard any preconceived notions about disabilities. Mr. Duchelay, a proven citizen, is human just like you and me and deserves justice. Simply look at his qualifications and the steps he took to ensure that he would be successful. As we enter the trial, I ask for utmost respect and fairness as you are entitled to judge. Thank you.
Defense, would you like to deliver opening statements?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Good afternoon to Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the court, and esteemed members of the jury. We, the defendant, stand before you to embark on a journey of employer righteousness and responsibility for the safety of all employees tasked with crossing America's roads. As discovery is laid out and facts are withdrawn, you will find today that Werner Enterprises acts to protect the rights and interests of all members of society, disabled or able-bodied, through their policies and programs which enable safe and educated driving opportunities. Their commitment to these statements is shown through their upholding of policies, such as the denial of Duchelay's application after extensive conversations regarding their core values and mission, as well as the inability to compromise such deeply held beliefs for any reason. As this case unfolds, it will be shown that Duchelay's application was denied, with many following conversations, statements, and questions exchanged between today's parties. They are then preceded by having been escalated harshly by the EEOC, with Werner Enterprises being framed as violating the ADA's policies. However, Werner argues that the inability to complete their training program after failing to meet several related conditions is not a violation of the compliance requirement. Our witnesses will demonstrate the complexity of which Werner has taken to consider federal regulations, safety, compliance, and bring forth the harsh reality of mistakes when these policies are not followed correctly. While we provide the evidence needed to support our defense, the EEOC will attempt to break down our argument through false allegations, such as failing to comply with the EEOC and ADA requirements. Claims will also be brought forth regarding adverse employment action taken by Warner and failure to provide reasonable accommodation to Dushley. While these arguments may sway your opinion briefly, our testimony shall convince you of the unique and complicit reasoning which Warner has shown to not follow these suggested actions. At the conclusion of this trial, you will find that the EEOC has wrongfully accused our defendant of denying a gentleman a position of employment. This is a case of a misunderstood company following their predetermined policies, which are deemed in trial to be in compliance with the needed safety and preventative measures. We give our sincerest gratitude for being present today and ensuring justice prevails. Thank you for your attention, and we look forward to presenting our case to the jury.
Are we good on time?
Yep.
Okay.
Prosecution, would you like to call your first witness?
Yes, Your Honor, we would like to call Mr. Dushley. Mr. Dushley. Permission to serve.
Is he deaf?
Yes, he's done.
Okay. Swear, man. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I swear.
No, the rest of those accounts, this is so you can see his lips.
Oh, okay. Okay. Counsel, would you like to turn so you can see what you're talking?
Yeah, so
What are you
you'll
saying?
be out, you can be out here. There you go.
Can you please state your name for the court record?
My name is Andrew Dushley.
And what is your occupation, Mr. Dushley?
I am a truck driver.
From where did you obtain your trucking license?
So after receiving an exemption, I pursued going to Amarillo's College of Truck Driving Academy, and it is there where I got my trucking license.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness which has been marked Exhibit A.
Yep.
Ask you to refer what has been marked Exhibit A. Do I give another jury too?
Yes,
We'll
sir.
give it after it's published in the evidence.
Mr. Dushley, can you read the highlighted portion of Exhibit A for the jury?
The statute and implementing regulations concerning exemptions require that exemptions must provide an equivalent or greater level of safety than if they were not granted.
What was it like for you attending truck driving school in UDEF?
So, me personally, I think Amarillo College had a really great program. I was able to communicate with them through sign language, and after that accommodation was made, they taught me just as they taught any other student.
What is your passport?
Counsel, do you want to publish this into evidence?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Check.
Do you have any objections?
No objections, Your Honor.
Okay.
Wrong side.
There you go.
What is your past work experience?
So after graduating from Amarillo College, I then continued to start working for ER England, and it is there where I worked for a couple of months before I applied to work at Warner.
How did your previous employer train you for your position?
So, ER England has a really nice program where you have to go to their truck driving school for a couple of weeks before you are allowed to work for them. And I managed to work there and pass everything just as I did for truck driving school. And it was then that I was allowed to work at CR.
Was there any additional paperwork submitted to Warner when you applied?
Yes, I submitted my exemption form, my medical certificate, and any other paperwork that was required.
And even after submitting all of that, was your application approved?
No, it was not.
What was the reason Warner gave for denying you of your position?
I think the reason that they denied me was because of my disability. Despite the fact that I was qualified for the position, I really do think that Warner was uncomfortable with me being deaf, and so they continued to reject me despite me being qualified.
Were you ever involved in any accidents while truck driving?
No, I have not been in any accidents, and to this day, there's still no record of me ever being in an accident.
Do you believe, to the best of your knowledge, that you have completed Warner's driving program with the reasonable accommodations?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Do you believe that you, to the best of your knowledge, that you have completed Warner's driving program with?
Objection, Your Honor. Leading.
Hearing me heard.
I believe that she is leading him to the answer.
Opposing counsel?
Move to counter
You like to?
to her statement. So let's say why your question is good. It's fine.
I can reword it, too.
Okay, yeah, sustained, reword your question.
In the past, have you been able to complete over-the-road training such as the kind offered at Warner?
Yes, I completed very similar training at both truck driving school and CR England.
Do you believe that your hearing impairment in any way prevents you from being a competent truck driver?
No, I do not.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Defense, would you like to have a go?
Yes, Your Honor. Can you see my lips?
Yes.
Mr. Duchelet, in your testimony, you said both CR England and ER England. I was just wanting you to clarify what the company name is.
That is my bad. I struggle with speaking sometimes. I normally communicate through sign language, but
Objection, Your Honor. He's not answering the
sorry,
question.
I was going to answer the question. I meant CR.
Just to clarify, your exemption, you sent in your exemption and your application, correct?
Yes.
And that was sent through to the second round before you were then fired from, or not hired into that position, right?
That is true. Yes.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this whole case relies on the fact that they discriminated him based on his deafness. Now, if he had sent in his exemption and his application, would they not have known he was deaf in the first place? If he sent in his exemption, the company would
Objection, Your
know.
Honor.
Stand.
Narrative?
Narrative means that the,
Yeah, narrative,
Stating facts that like how it's previously done.
narrative isn't like
your witness was, giving a story.
Okay.
Is there an objection for giving a closing
Yeah.
argument or?
It's not a closing argument, I'm explaining my point here.
Yeah, can you keep questioning the
Yeah, I'll keep
witness, please?
It was
It's
sustained.
sustained, yeah.
So, you say that you did send in both your exemption and your application to them, and they accepted you through that?
Objection asked and answered. Sustained. Let's move on.
How did you get supervised at Sierra England if you're deaf?
They made accommodations that were able to make up for my deafness. And through that, they were able to teach me just as they taught everybody else.
But what accommodations were they?
So I communicated through sign language, and through that, me and the instructor were able to communicate better and more properly.
During your training, you always drove on predetermined routes or closed courses at Sierra England, correct?
Yes,
So these are somewhat familiar to the instructor, correct?
yes,
So you've been driving your whole life, you would say. Would you agree that accidents can happen in a matter of seconds?
I actually do agree with that, yes.
So with what you stated that you have to sign to the instructor, do you think that you would have the proper amount of time to look at your instructor and sign for the proper technique if, say, a piece of furniture fell out of the bed of a truck?
While I don't think sign would be the best way to communicate,
It's a yes or no, sir.
no, I don't think so, but I do think there are other substitutes that could be used.
What substitute do you think could be used in a matter of seconds?
Objection, calls for speculation.
Explain.
Oh, explain, sorry. When she said it's fine, I was like, our witness doesn't have prior knowledge. That's not his job to bring in the accommodations. That's exactly what Warner should be doing, or Sierra England would be doing.
I would disagree. As a driver, I think that he should have knowledge of some things that the company could do for him that help him better in his job.
That's not his job, though.
I'm gonna sustain. Can you reword your answer, or your question?
Do you think there are other ways of communication other than sign language to
Yes.
communicate? And would those be quicker than sign language in that sense?
Yes,
In a matter of 3 to 5 seconds quick?
yes, very much so.
Do you, would any of those require you to take your eyes off the road?
Yes, however.
Just yes, thank you. So, you believe in a 3 to 5 second time span where you can't take your eyes off the road, you can properly communicate with an instructor?
Yes. If,
I find that hard to believe, Mr. Gallagher.
maybe you can repeat the question.
In a 3 to 5 second span without taking your eyes off the road,
Objection, Your Honor. The answer is he's like yelling at my witness and he's getting really close to his
Sustained.
hand.
do you believe in a 3 to 5 second span without taking your eyes off the road that someone who is deaf could relay instructions or get information?
Objection asked and answered.
He didn't never answer the question, Your Honor.
Yes.
Sorry.
No. Okay. So I should then. Are you aware that Warner doesn't allow for drivers to take their eyes off the road?
I was not aware.
Did you know they have cameras inside of their cabins to watch their drivers, make sure they keep their eyes on the road?
I was not able to have that.
So I asked you, why would Warner firmly support a policy that would go against or endanger others by taking your eyes off the road?
Well, I think that, there are other ways for Warner to test me that wouldn't require me taking my eyes off the road.
So do you think that these are reasonable accommodations for you?
Such as the accommodations.
The accommodations that you would need to properly drive
I do
safely?
think so, yes. If, see why Werner wouldn't be able to.
But you previously did testify that you don't think that you would be able to keep your eyes on the road with the accommodations, correct?
I did not say that. I answered your question, which was, if I took my eyes off the road, would that be a safe thing to do? And I said no.
So, I think we can agree though, endangering others is not a reasonable accommodation.
Yeah. I would.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. You were seated.
Wait.
Oh, wait,
You
time?
may wanna
Oh, yeah.
redirect
You wanna
too,
redirect?
but I don't think after they see the time they'll want to. Plaintiff, how much time is left?
13 minutes and 36
13.
seconds.
13:36, you got 3 witnesses left, and defense,
We should probably go there.
13 minutes and 14 seconds.
13:14. Okay, next,
Okay.
wanna read
Would
that?
you like to redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Cause that's, you don't have, yeah, you can be seated. Prosecution, would you like to call your second witness?
Yes, prosecution, would like to call Donovan.
Hey, Donna, can you raise your right hand, please? Yeah, oh my God. You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth? It's okay, it's okay. Calm down, Donna. Donna, I'll make it worse.
Can you please state your name for the record?
My name is Donna Old.
What is your current occupation?
I'm a CDL instructor at Action Career Training.
How long have you been involved in the trucking industry?
I got my CDL in 1996, so 29 years ago.
How long have you been teaching at the Action Career Training Center?
I started in 2000.
When did you start training deaf and hard of hearing truck drivers?
2013.
What certifications have you received?
Like I said, I got my CDL, and then I also took 2 years of American Sign Language at Howard College.
Can you describe the tools, technology, or adaptations that are commonly used to support deaf CDL students?
Yes, so we use a variety of simple and effective tools to help support our deaf CDL students. So during training, we rely on clear visual communication, so that's anything from hand signs, flashcards, whiteboards, and then we also use ASL for directions like turning, stopping, or slowing down. For longer explanations, we use pen and paper either before we go out driving or when the driver is safely stopped. And then all of these signals are very easy for these deaf drivers to see with their peripheral vision, and it's just a quick glance like one would be checking a mirror. And then we also use enhanced mirrors, safety alert systems, and vibrating seats or steering wheels that warn drivers of sirens, horns, or any other hazards. So together they help the drivers drive safely and confidently.
Can you explain how these accommodations for deaf CDL students can be implemented in a cost-effective way?
Yes, so many of the things I mentioned before, flashcards, whiteboards, hand signals, all of those are pretty cheap. They cost little to nothing, pen and paper. ASL classes are very low cost, and there's online resources for that as well. And then many of the things like enhanced mirrors and safety alert systems and vibrating seats and steering wheels are already in the modern trucks that these companies use, and if they're not, it would cost no more than just a standard safety upgrade to add them. And so all of these accommodations are very low cost and easy to implement.
In your experience, do deaf drivers with the appropriate training and technology operate commercial vehicles safely?
Yes, deaf drivers can and do operate commercial vehicles safely with the proper training and technology.
Are you aware that Warner Enterprises declined to hire Andrew because they did not believe he could complete their safety training safely?
Yes, I am.
In your professional opinion, is that of concern valid?
I see no reason why Andrew couldn't complete their training. He already showed that he had mastered the required skills during his CDL training to obtain his CDL. So I don't see why he wouldn't be able to.
Okay, so just to be clear, do you believe that Andrew Duchelet is qualified and capable of completing Warner's safety training program?
Yes.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Defense, would you like to cross-examine?
Yes, Your Honor. Do you know how much the average salary of an ASL trainer is?
Objection relevant?
And I think it's completely relevant.
Yeah.
Because the whole testimony is based off hiring an ASL trainer.
Overruled.
Sorry.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sorry. Do you know how much the average salary, or can you ballpark the average salary of an ASL interpreter?
Objection, out of scope of the witness. Why would she know that?
Because she said they hire ASL interpreters.
Yeah, also overruled.
I know ASL, so I've never had an interpreter that I had to work with, so I do not know what or how much they would be paid.
Averages usually range around 60,000 in the US.
Object, what, I mean, what am I supposed to say?
If they average around 6,000 plus, we'd have to pay them travel time, like mileage on the road is usually, like, it's always like 50 cents a mile, something like that. So, do you believe that 60,000 plus the mile time, which would in a year equate to about 100,000?
He didn't lay a foundation or bring in an exhibit to provide that information.
Yeah, I'll sustain that.
Do you agree that it could be expensive for an ASL interpreter?
Yes, but there are other accommodations you can use besides having an ASL interpreter.
And you said the other accommodations are things such as whiteboards, flashcards, things like that?
Yes.
Things that you would have to look over for?
Just a quick glance, do you look down at your dash when you're driving? You're looking away from the road.
I am looking away from the road sometimes, you're right. But the difference is, that I also have audio cues to help me. Things like honking, things like someone swerving.
Objection, would you want to be he's like,
He's like fighting for standing.
Look at that guy. Are you, decide where to drive with these witnesses, correct?
Say that again?
You decide where to drive with these witnesses, like on the road?
Yes.
And you drive on familiar, like usually the same roads with training?
There's a variety of different ones, but, yes, we know the routes.
Yeah, okay. So you're familiar with the fact that Werner doesn't use any of the same roads in their training? They're completely unknown to them?
Yes, I am.
So, you train drivers solely for their CDL, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is it safe to assume then that prior to maybe studying up on us before, I assume maybe you did a little studying up on us before your testimony, you had no knowledge of Werner's requirements to become a driver?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever trained a driver using Werner's program?
No.
Would you have the knowledge then to know if a deaf driver can make it through Werner's program specifically without actually having done it?
objection on scope, she's unemployed by order.
That's exactly the point of the
That's
case.
the point?
That's exactly the question.
Can you repeat the question?
Would you have any way of knowing if a deaf driver can make it through Werner's program if you haven't trained yourself in it yourself?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Would you like to redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, we'll do a time on that. Make sure the redirect is within scope of the original question. Let's go time update for plaintiff.
10:24. 9:41.
Ms. Olds, can you please, explain what a CDL license covers?
CDL license covers, to drive commercial vehicles, like trucks, things like that.
And would you say, that, like, the scope of a CDL license, could be used anywhere? Objection, leaving.
Yeah, sustained.
In your experience, have CDL license, equipped students to drive commercially, virtually, like anywhere?
Objection.
Yes.
Out of scope.
Yeah, I would say try staying within like your questions within what they already asked.
Okay, then no further questions.
Okay, thank you. That was the weird one.
What are
Sorry,
we-
I forgot.
Can you recross or you wanna let it?
No,
stay?
we'll let it ride.
Let it ride? Okay, so update
928.
on this side?
Yeah.
Who we go to?
Because
You said 28.
28?
Yeah.
Sorry, you get. I really don't have to.
Prosecution, would you like to call your third witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Prosecution would like to call Killer Gilbride. Carla Gilbride.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, plaintiff.
Plaintiff.
Do we need a mirror? This is difficult. Can you have her raise? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Ms. Gilbride, what is your occupation?
I'm the general counsel for the EEOC.
What is the role of the EEOC?
So the EEOC makes it so that people do not discriminate against people on the basis of sex, religion, disabilities, and gender, and all of those sorts of things. And we can handle civil lawsuits just like this one to ensure that all employers are treating their employees fairly.
Why did you decide to take on an issue like this?
So in this case, Werner has violated the Americans with Disability Act, which prohibits the employers to discriminate on the basis of disability, which is exactly what happened in this case.
Under the ADA, are employers required to evaluate applicants based on their individual abilities rather than assumptions about a disability?
Yes, they are required to complete individualized assessment for every single applicant to ensure that they are able to complete the responsibility, the essential functions of each job properly with or without reasonable accommodations.
So being deaf would be included in ADA regulations.
Objection, reading.
Sustained.
Can you explain how hearing disabilities are addressed under the Americans with Disabilities Act?
Yeah, so under the Americans with Disabilities Act, hearing disabilities are defined as being deaf or even just having different hard of hearing abilities. So under that, a lot of times we find in our cases that we pursue that employers often argue that deaf individuals will cause safety hazard or maybe some extra costs, or they're not able to communicate as well with people. But oftentimes that is not true, and it's just a assumption about their disability. And that in reality, they can complete every single job almost exactly as a normal person would.
Is the ability to communicate using nonverbal, written, or visual methods considered a reasonable accommodation?
Yes, a reasonable accommodation is when an employer provides something to someone with a disability in order to enable them to perform the essential functions of a job, as long as it doesn't provide undue hardship for the employer.
Does the ADA allow an employer to refuse to hire someone simply because a person is deaf or has a disability?
No, they are not allowed to do that. That would be a violation of ADA policy and would be considered discriminatory.
In your experience, have other trucking companies successfully hired and trained deaf truck drivers using such accommodations?
Yes, many companies have it. For example, Sierra England that we heard earlier, they have it, and they have done these reasonably with little to minimal cost and while still keeping the essential functions of the job.
Is it true that the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration grants hearing exemptions that legally authorize deaf individuals to operate commercial motor vehicles?
Yes, the FMCSA is a very great federal organization that allows deaf individuals to apply for an exemption, and basically it's just stating that the federal government believes that they are able to operate a federal motor vehicle on interstate highways safely, and from a regulatory standpoint it is completely fine for them to operate.
Does the existence of the FMCSA hearing exemption indicate the driver is qualified to perform the job's essential functions?
Yes.
Did Warner take adverse employment action against Mr. Ushlet?
Yes, in this case they did. So adverse employment can be seen in this case in a variety of ways. First of all,
denying the applicant just because they're deaf, not being
Objection.
willing to,
Narrative.
She's just answering the question.
Wrap it up.
yeah, and not being able to provide reasonable accommodations as well, that is adverse employment.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Prosecutor, or defense, would you like to?
Yes, sir. How long have you been the head attorney of the EEOC?
13.
Not, I mean, in a span of how long people work on a job, not incredibly long.
Yes, but I've been working with disability
Just, yes, thank
law
you.
my whole life.
What is considered a qualified individual under the ADA?
As long as you have a, disability that impacts major life activities is considered a disability under the ADA.
But they do have to meet the essential functions of the job, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you believe that meeting just the essential functions of the job is good enough for every job?
If you're able to do your job, you're able to do your job.
Okay. If a Can you consider someone a qualified individual if they pose a risk to the public in doing the essentials of a job?
Can you repeat that?
Can you consider someone a qualified individual if they pose a risk to the public in doing the essentials of that job? Do you agree that taking your eyes off the road poses a risk to people?
Yes.
So you agree then that Mr. Duchley would not be a qualified individual as he poses a risk by completing the essential functions of the job?
But he has completed all of the proper training to get his CDL and his FMCSA exemption.
You-
So I would consider him qualified.
Did you know the National Highway and Traffic Safety Administration, according to them, a large portion of crashes are caused by distracted driving? I'm sure it's not.
Objection, foundation, once again, he has no exhibit, he's just bringing in facts.
Can you confidently testify that Mr. Duchley or Mr. Robinson, both deaf drivers, would be able to complete the requirements of this job safely without posing any risk?
Yes, with the proper reasonable accommodations.
Are companies required to alter training for people with disabilities?
Yes, they are.
If someone with a disability cannot complete the mandatory training due to the disability, is the company required to allow them to pass?
They are supposed to provide reasonable accommodations for all parts of the job, the training processes, and the hiring processes.
As we mentioned earlier in the case, do you believe that a large portion of money that they would have to spend to hire someone is reasonable?
Werner is an extremely large company, and a reasonable accommodation is not, the cost goes based on how large the company is and how many employees it has. So it being one of the top 5 trucking companies in the world obviously has a lot of money, and I think it would be a very minimal cost.
Objection. I was still the witness.
Should we finish the question?
Yeah, I'd say it's too late.
Can that be stricken?
Would you like to move this back? Yeah.
Or do they wanna be heard though?
Yeah, do you wanna be heard?
I don't
Say it
question you
again.
repeated, it was a long answer.
I'm not repeating it.
He asked specifically about Warner, and
Stan.
Yeah, that's relevant.
he asked specifically about Warner, so she's answering to the best of her ability, so.
What's
She
your
would not be
answer?
aware of our ability to.
Well, he
Then he
asked
shouldn't have asked that
specifically-
question.
Talk to the judge.
Yeah.
She's a representative and she's a professional, so she has knowledge, and he asked her, so she's answering it to the best of her ability, so.
Can I back up?
You should have asked it.
Yeah, you
Uh,
can.
This is a.
I'm not the one that objected. Why are you going after me? Oh.
This is a lay witness. If they don't have the expertise, then they cannot.
Once
She
you
doesn't.
I'm gonna say we can keep it in, she is an expert, so she wouldn't be a lay witness. So overruled, keep going.
Let me get back on track here. Are companies allowed to not grant requests due to unreasonable accommodations?
Yes, if it is an unreasonable accommodation, they do not have to.
Okay. If said unreasonable accommodation or were to make him take his eyes off the road or pose any threat at all, would it be reasonable?
No, if it's causing a safety risk, it is not, but there are many other options that would be reasonable in this case.
Can you list one, being an expert?
A lot of the, our other person said, the vibrating seats, the certain sign language, visuals and the peripheral vision, all of those things are completely reasonable and would be relevant in this case.
What does a vibrating seat do
I-
for the driver?
Like you were saying earlier, if there's sirens or other things that may affect them because they're deaf and they cannot hear them, those vibrating seats would allow them to be aware of that.
does it help them communicate with the instructor all in emergency?
In that case, that would be the peripheral vision signs.
Okay. No further, Your Honor.
Would you like to redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Plaintiff time,
5:42.
5:42. You may be seated. See now.
Objection, Your Honor. I don't know if we can take her testimony in anymore.
5:42.
She has a scope out.
Or what?
That's great.
Okay, one witness left.
Plaintiff, would you like to call your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor, plaintiff would like to call, Jessica Hale. Ex-commission for that.
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth. Good luck.
Ms. Hale, what is your occupation?
I am the vice president of HR at CRE.
What is your education leading up to this job?
I have a bachelor's in business and a master's degree in HR leadership.
How long have you represented HR for Sierra England?
About 3 years and 7 months.
Were you part of the hiring process for Mr. Duschley?
Yes.
Why did your company hire Mr. Duschley?
Mr. Duschley applied to our company. He was CDL certified. He also had an exemption from the FMCSA, for Federal Motor Safety. He had a great interview, and we thought he'd be a great fit for our company, so we hired him.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness with what has been marked Exhibit D. I ask you to refer with what has been marked Exhibit D. Here's for the jury.
Here you go.
You should have already gotten one. Or we sent it.
We would not be able to.
We shared our exhibits before.
Can you, what
can
part
have
of this exhibit are we
Here.
looking at?
Thank you. Can you please read the highlighted portion of Exhibit D for the jury?
OTR training. During your over-the-road training, CR England Trucking Company will pair you up one-on-one with a certified driver trainer. Your trainer will observe and guide you from the passenger seat while you accumulate the required minimum of 15,000 miles behind the wheel time over a required minimum period of 30 days.
Has your company hired drivers with disabilities before?
Yes, as long as they have the required paperwork and exemptions, there's no reason they can't work for our company.
How did your company accommodate Mr. Duschley while he was employed?
Our company had visual aids, he had a vibrating seat, and I believe he also, I think that's it.
How long was Mr. Duschley working for your company?
Several months.
What was his given reason for leaving?
I believe it was personal reasons, nothing to do with his ability or the company.
Counsel, do you want to publish your evidence?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, do you have any objections?
Yeah, I object. This is not relevant to the case because this is not Warner's recommended trucking company.
I work for Sierra England.
This is relevant because Mr. Duschley worked for CR England and we're comparing the two over-the-road training compared to Warner's.
She's also a CR England employee, so we're
I would disagree. I don't believe that, I don't believe that Sierra England has the knowledge on Werner's guidelines of what they have to do to be knowledgeable on if they meet the requirements.
We're asking her to affirm that Mr. Duschley has previously been employed and is capable of driving.
We believe that this is not equivalent to Warner's training.
Yeah, this is may I be heard?
Yes.
This is relevant to CR England's training and that's what she's speaking on as she's a representative of CR England. We're not asking her to speak on Warner's training.
This case
Yes,
is
that's
about
relevant.
Werner's training program and if she should be allowed though.
I would say you may enter into evidence if your questions are strictly about CR England and not a comparison.
Okay, I haven't asked any questions about Warner, it's her, so.
Good.
Yeah, you're good.
How would you describe Mr. Duschley's overall performance?
It was proficient. He never had any
complaints lodged against him. He was punctual and showed good work through his reviews.
Objection, Your Honor. I feel like that's an opinion of a lay witness. She was never in the truck with him. How would she know how he performed?
I would know if there was a complaint lodged against him.
Yeah, sustained. Rephrase your question.
Based on your, did you interview Mr. Dishlet?
I was a part of the interviewing process.
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
Sustained. Move on, please.
So, in your professional opinion, would you say Mr. Dishlet was qualified to drive the truck?
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
Move on, please.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Defense, would you like to cross?
Yeah.
You guys start the timer, right?
Yes.
It doesn't work.
You have to sign in. It's gonna take you like 6 minutes.
Yeah, well, you just won't take that. That's all right. I don't need it. So, how many deaf drivers have come through your program that you know?
That's not in my, I would not know the
I
exact number.
disagree completely. She's HR. It's hiring.
I would not know the exact number.
Can you ballpark it?
Over the course of my career.
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor, no responses.
Yeah, answer the question.
I cannot say I know the answer to that question.
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection, Your Honor. I asked her to ballpark. Please make her answer the question.
Yeah, answer the question.
Around about 10 per year.
Objection, Your Honor. That's, is there, like,
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
yeah, how many deaf drivers have come through your program that you know of?
I don't know.
Just move on.
So, do you believe that's a large enough sample size to know whether or not they would be proficient overall?
What sample size?
Exactly, what sample size? If you don't even know how many came you don't know how many people came through. Do you believe that just based off the one that you do know, is that a proficient sample size for how they have to drive?
Who's this?
Mr. Duschleit, who came through your program.
He demonstrated proficient driving ability.
I assume you know how your program is ranked as a HR, member of HR, like how they typically do in like ratings and stuff like that?
Ratings of what?
Like just your program in general.
In what scale?
5 stars, I'm saying. I would object that she does not seem to know her job very well.
So, make that a point.
Sorry. Objection.
No,
Like,
I
any
object.
question?
I don't believe she is an expert in her field or witness.
the jury's not
She
stupid.
wasn't.
Just do your job, ask the questions, and let it show.
Okay.
The jury
yeah,
will figure out.
So yeah, are you aware of like the ratings of your company? I believe as an HR or head of HR, that would be an important job for you.
Yes, I take in reviews occasionally.
Can you maybe list off some of the reviews your company has?
From customers?
Just overall. We can say customers, people who went through the program.
People who went through the program or customers of CRE?
People who went through the program.
Objection, relevance. Same.
Or you maybe.
Yeah, I believe it's extremely relevant. She's in HR, she's the head of HR, she should know that.
I believe that some of the truckers that have gone through that I personally know.
She answered.
Didn't respond to us, yeah. Yeah, keep going.
Oh.
Shoot. I guess no further questions, honestly, like, I mean, the testimony was. Sorry.
Would you like to redirect?
What's the time?
It's potentially 1:13.
1:20.
1:20?
Yes. At 1:22.
one twenty-two, there is another class that comes in here, so,
That is 113.
No, you're on
Yeah, okay.
okay.
Alrighty, you may be seated. Court will adjourn until Friday.
Friday, guys, let's just, good job. Always learning, always getting better, so, that's good. I really love how you looked into all these facts and stuff that you wouldn't have memorized if I would have made you read